9:00. I'll call the meeting to order to the for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You've received the minutes of the last meeting. What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, I will open the public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Is there anyone here who would wish to speak in favor? Anyone who would wish to speak against? Alan, have you received any communication?
No, none.
Okay.
And this is mostly just, it was, some employee changes in insurance that weren't allocated for, like somebody might have went from single to married. A
Okay.
couple that we had to add new. Also, I think a little bit for the recorder's wages, IPers and FICA, because they had a little overlap in there.
Change? Okay.
And then we did pay some bond fees. We moved some money from capital projects to pay some of the bond fees that we had, because they said that was allowed
Okay,
with that.
all right. There's no other comments. I will close the public hearing at this time. Would anyone care to introduce resolution number 49, 2024-2025 regarding the budget appropriations changes?
Introduce.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alan, would you call the roll, please?
Vic,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
LJ,
Yes.
Mark,
Aye.
and Heidi.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I see that. Okay. Jeff, what have you got for us this morning?
Nothing on the docket, just, we're rocking, rock trucks are running out of Conrad for probably the rest of this week. Get that that pile knocked down, and then we'll be heading back to the quarries.
I'll wait to put my dust control on until you're done.
Be a good idea. Tuesday's rain. Blades are out blading. Talk to Kurt. We're looking at putting in a little retaining wall so that they can do their asphalting there in the back lot there. We looked at today, had shots, and I and Marty and Steve were out there looking at that. Yeah.
Is our road complete down there? I see we've got lines.
Yep, you've got lines. I think one driveway needed a little extra rock run around it, but I'm pretty much done.
Okay.
I think they've got all their extra rock hauled in and everything should be set.
Okay.
Rollers were in the county. I'm not even really sure if they're still here or not. Wednesday morning, they were 40% complete. So. Yeah, I know people have seen them. I haven't been able to catch one yet.
I saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went over the other day.
Oh.
So, or, around.
They're hitting here, then they're moving east, or, yeah, over Black Hawk. So,
I had somebody ask me the question. I know you've answered it before, but I forgot again. What does the state do for us for a detour?
like M Avenue, so they are in charge. That is now a state road.
Okay.
Well, their detour is now under the control of the state.
Okay. So can we make them fix that pothole there by Nair's?
Which one?
By Lyle Nair's place or the culverts? Does this? Can we make that?
We will get money.
Okay.
They will not probably fix that, but we will get money for damages.
Okay.
It won't be enough, but.
So they don't pay us anything? for
No,
that?
now if it was like an immediate fix, they'd come in and throw in pothole mix.
Right.
They would come in, if it needed bladed, they'd blade it. If it, remove snow, they'd remove snow. They would do like immediate to keep the traffic flowing.
Okay.
But like damages and stuff like that from dips and stuff created, they just, at the end of the project, they give us X amount of dollars.
Okay.
For the additional traffic.
I didn't know if it was so much per mile that they allowed it.
They
or-
have a formula
Mhm.
and number of vehicles. It's vehicles per day, average, how much it increased. and number of miles, and then they put that into one of their equations and it spits out a dollar figure.
Which is never enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, we can look into it, ask them. I'm assuming it's just a dip, not an actual,
No, it's been there for years.
oh. They will not fix that. So they come through and they videotape and take pictures of all the road damage beforehand, so that they have something to go back on it.
Thought we could
Yeah,
run through
nice
it.
try.
Yeah,
Mm.
no, they most likely will not.
I don't see much for that. Okay.
We got some bridge approaches poured last week on Pioneer Road, and I think they're pouring some here today, or this week, a little bit.
They're about done with that project, I think, the approaches.
Yeah, they should be getting real close if they weren't done. I think they were pouring Friday,
Yeah,
so I'm not sure exactly what was remaining on the to-do list before asphalt comes in, but asphalt could almost start anytime. But I think they're over in Blackhawk County.
Yeah, you said they were over there first, and they'll be back to do.
That was the plan,
plan.
but back. Yes, corporate and you ask the workers, how's fast? You get different answers.
get your 64s in, pipes.
Not yet. That is not probably until July. But. Yeah, June 9th, motor grader training.
That's right. Next week.
Coming up next week,
Yeah.
starting Monday.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it'll be something to see, like I said. Pretty cool. Any other questions for Jeff this morning? Anything else? No? All right, thanks. The next item on the agenda is to approve the payment of the bills. You have received the bills. Were there any questions? Not? Someone care to make a motion to approve the payment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is consideration and discussion about cybersecurity liability limits and possible action. Okay, what we got? That. This one. What are the differences that we have?
The current limit is $1 million, and when
Okay.
we signed up with, we signed up through ICAP last year, they didn't offer it. That's why we had that additional policy with Cowbell. That was the liability for cyber. And there, that was set at $1 million.
Okay.
And Jesse and I had a discussion this morning, and he felt that $1 million was sufficient.
Sufficient?
So what we like is the Cowbell policy cost us a little bit over 23,000, and now with ICAP, that price is just under 10. So pretty good savings for us.
So it'd be eliminating the cowbell
Correct.
policy
Mhm.
and.
Just carrying it through
continuing
ICAP.
ICAP.
Yep.
For the same coverage.
Pretty much the same coverage. I mean, very few things that are different in their policy. There were some things like that are interesting where bodily injury liability was excluded with the other carriers, which I'm not sure. Property damage, but they have 250. Some other just small things, but for the most part, it's similar coverage. Based on what was available.
And you said, yes, you have talked with Jesse.
Yes.
And he's, I know all of that.
Don't see any reason to go to that next level.
Okay. So, if we're not going to change
And basically it's
Okay,
billed with just $1 million.
with $1 million,
Yep.
okay. So we would need a motion to accept the ICAP policy for the cybersecurity limit at $1 million. Is that covered? Okay. Would anyone care to make that motion?
Make that motion.
Right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The next item is to approve the ICAP member proxy, anniversary information acknowledgement, and commitment to continue membership, and authorize chairperson to sign the same. And there's a lot of signatures on this.
Yes.
Anyone care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And I think I have. Are there any board and committee meeting updates this week? I had the county social services meeting. One of the, it's getting to be down to the last few that we'll be having. They will be sunsetting as of June 30th. A lot of the discussion was with the closeout. They have completed their 24 audit. It's done and submitted, and they have actually started on their 25 audit so that most of the material can be gathered and given to the auditors before the current staff is gone. They have disposed of the vehicles. They took them back to the dealership, bought them back. They will be having an all-staff picnic on the 30th of June. And at that time, like all of the laptops and things, all of their technical items will be wiped clean. The company will come in and take off all information. We're donating the cell phones to Crisis Intervention Services. They have a use for them for women who might need emergency phones. And the laptops will be offered first to staff to buy them back at an established rate. They have been meeting with the Disability Access Point people, going over some of the handoff things that need to be, I guess, exchanged, information exchange. As for the ASO, Iowa Primary Care, they have heard very little, and those will be the person in charge of the behavioral health. And so those handoffs could be a little bit trickier. There's not a lot of information being asked for or exchanged. We still don't know exactly where there will be physical people, like physical locations to enter. But they're ready to exchange information if there's anything asked for. Then later that day, I had a meeting at the Blackhawk Grundy Mental Health Center. What they have heard is that the new reimbursement rates will probably be anywhere from 15 to 85% lower for services rendered, which they are having a hard time covering services anyway. It's not going to be much easier after July 1st. They had a mental health awareness breakfast. It was May 9th, I believe, and it was completely sold out, and they raised over $118,000 at that. But yeah, every table was sold out ahead of time, I think. A lot of the discussion centered around, how to recruit people, retain people, and keep people there to help. There are always staff shortages, as with any mental health. Headed together for family meeting Thursday. That was just to go over some of the budget changes for before year end, and had a meeting with Iowa Northland Regional Housing Authority on Friday, and then we just discussed some changes with one of the landlords and some of the executive director duties, and that's what I have this week. So, Butch, you got anything for us today?
No, not really. Last week we did the tree in the back lot of the sheriff's office. When we had that bid for the building, it was gonna be like $1,500 to $2,000 to take that tree down, so Kirk and I just decided to cut it down. We went and got the bucket truck and did it ourselves, just a big little money.
Get rid of it.
Yeah,
Air conditioner run last week upstairs, worked well.
Yeah, they had a hearing, so they had it on up there and
Good,
a lot better, a lot quieter too.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh, do you have anything you'd like to speak to us about today? Enlighten us.
No, just session is done for the year and starting to make my rounds and I know looking at the news and reading my emails, but looks like property taxes, the governor is wanting to make that a priority for 2026 and the email that you had sent me, Heidi, I forwarded that to Speaker Grassley's office and also to the Ways and Means Chair. So, but yeah, no, I just wanna, keep in contact and things that might come up and, insight from you guys on how to make, tax bill a little bit easier.
I know you communicated that, yes, if we can get you even more specific numbers, which we, can try as we go along, but
Yeah, we were this close to trying to push something out this year and it wasn't even close to ready. And so, no, I told them that we're gonna push something out, we take the summer and work on it and cause it had some flaws, some major flaws.
from what we saw, we would probably agree with that. Yeah, so,
So,
but no, we do appreciate taking the time to, look at things closer. And like you say, not rush something through just to have it done, but
Right.
because there would have been some significant cuts that would have had to be made, I think, here.
yeah, and some increases other places that were not been good. So.
But
What did they do with that 911 bill then?
That one is, currently on the governor's desk. Senate passed it, House passed it. We passed it on the last day of session. So the idea. So I have, that 911. It's, so the problem with the E911 is currently Homeland is running out of money. And in order to keep services, there had to be some changes made.
So why can't we raise the surcharge? And why are we sending it back to the local 911 to pick up the slack? I don't believe anybody would even notice a 50 cent or even a $1
Yeah,
increase in their surcharge.
yeah, cause this bill came from the governor's office and, pushed out by them, so, as to why, that's above my, there's something that was agreed upon when they brought it to us, so. We met and as a caucus and decided to move forward with things.
Cause all it's gonna do is hurt the 911s and the small ones, right?
Well, so, cause with the, let's see here.
Cause from reading it, they haven't decided on how much they're gonna.
It's a crapshoot yet, what they can ask for.
'Cause I wanna say the, I know like Hardin County, their E911 has that something around like 700 and some thousand in it. I think Grundy County here has like 300, just short of 400,000 in the. Yeah, Grundy County's balance is 361,000. $841, with zero of that allocated for any projects. Hardin County's is at 477,000, and 400 of that is allocated for projects.
So what does the state need that money for?
Yeah, so on this text message here, it just says, the state is providing 911 call delivery services on behalf of the counties. But the cost to provide these services are exceeding the 40% state share of 911 surcharge revenues. Rather than raising fees on every Iowan with a cell phone, this language would allow the state and locals to combine their surcharge revenues to cover the local services that are currently being provided 100% by the state. Fees charged to the counties are necessary to account for costs not covered by the state share of 911 surcharge revenues. Billings will be based on outstanding costs incurred by the state to serve local 911 dispatch centers, including costs and crew to upgrade and maintain next gen 911 network functionality. The call processing equipment and call transport services provided by state contracted shared services and providers. And then it says, estimated statewide outstanding cost expected to be distributed across the counties are approximately $3 million.
I would be happy to pay $1 a month per phone I have, just so that I have the use of 911.
So the state does not want to say we need to raise these rates. We prefer to take it back from the county level.
The county's allocation level.
Is pretty much what that amounts to. Looks
I
good for the
I
state.
pay money for life insurance if I don't need it. I'd pay for insurance to have somebody come get me.
I think for the convenience, I think people would probably be willing to pay that, honestly.
Well, the thing is like that 300,000 and 400,000 that like Hardin has. Say they have to put up a new tower, I won't even touch it.
Yeah,
You're looking at millions.
it's just gonna make it harder for the counties to be able to keep their equipment upgraded, probably.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, lightning struck the tower out there, well, when I was on the board for the city. Lightning struck the tower out there, your guys' deal, and it was like 20-some thousand dollars.
And already 911 has nothing allocated, but yet they're trying to buy radios. Upgraded radios. Right now.
So,
LJ, don't they're looking for radios.
yes,
right now,
we were
aren't they?
looking for radios. But all this bill does is weaken the 911 system, in my opinion,
at the local level.
at the local level where it's needed the most.
Yes.
So right now, does the county, do they allocate money to 911? They don't, right? Like it's all self-funded, right? The 911 part?
Yes,
Is it?
and Chase said that if it comes down to it, he's gonna have to ask the county for money to make his budget.
So either way, they're gonna pay taxes on it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, because what was sent out to us is, this change does not reduce the 911 funds or how they are distributed. The formula remains the same, 60-40 split, with the larger going to local. However, Homeland can no longer absorb the added costs of maintaining the system and will now be distributing statewide expenses when their 40% does not cover the maintenance needed, and it will require upgrades to support the locals. It is estimated that statewide, this amount to be $3 million for next gen 911 upgrades in the coming 2 years. Let's see, there is currently a reserve balance of 66 million being held by locals statewide, with less than half of that amount designated as reserved, committed, or assigned. The goal is to create a long-term sustainable support fund that serves the entire state and all Iowans. The safety of Iowans is paramount, and 911 system must evolve with technology to prevent any collapse of service reliability.
But that's what the county's
think that's what
reserve
we're saying.
funds
Yeah.
are. I mean, they may not be allocated, but that's why, is they're there for
I
those.
mean, that money. just paid for
Emergency.
Dispatch years ago, whenever that was, I mean, that was 300,000.
Essentially, what it sounds like to me is they're trying to empty out the coffers. So that there is no reserve.
Yeah.
To fix a lightning strike. To fix a tornado that blew over a tower.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's probably, that's
So then
what
we
will
have to
happen.
go to bond. And then pay banks interest.
Right, and that's what they're trying to said they're trying to avoid by having these reserves when you need a new tower. Instead of having to bond for the
Yeah.
project, have the funds on hand. In turn, saving the taxpayers money.
Because we won't be able to levy for that amount of money, I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
that's,
Cause like when I.
the new tax bills,
equipment,
it's
I
not
love
gonna be a
giving
problem.
away more money than I actually need.
Right.
So that would be the only way we'd be
I
able to
do
afford it.
know that there are, some emails out there that asking the governor to veto portions of stuff.
Yeah, so can she line item that veto? I know there were some questions.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her about it, but
Well, they haven't decided on the split on how they're even gonna do it, right? Like that amount.
that would be 60-40.
Yeah, the split is decided, but what they're asking the locals to give back has not been announced. So they have no idea.
How much it could be.
Right,
Yeah.
they're gonna take 10% of everybody's money, or are they gonna, what are they, I mean, there's no figure given. From what research I've done. But the thing is that's one of the most important services that we offer. And they're trying to deal with the same money. That's gonna be there, because. For as many people die and give up a cell phone or a landline, they're the new people coming up. I mean, we aren't exploding in population, so we're not gaining more surcharges.
Mhm.
So they'll, in my mind, everything else goes up. I pay $300 a month for our cell phone for my family. I'm not gonna notice $1. Just fix it that way.
Change the subject.
Mhm.
Has there been any traction in separating secondary road into its own levy? Or have you never heard of that? Can we separate secondary?
I can always. Try to vote for them, I can always ask.
So then we would separate our own, people could actually see it on their bill, how much of their property taxes go directly to roads and bridges.
Yeah, I'll make a note.
Instead of being tied into with,
Cause you said that they've talked
Yeah.
about this at ISAC with the engineers
yeah,
affiliate.
it would be great to see if we could separate out ours into our own rate. And then have our own line item on property tax bills saying, hey. Instead of all this money goes to the county and everybody being mad about the roads, going, hey, here's how much actually of your taxes goes into roads.
That way they could chew on you instead of us.
And then we don't have to worry about. Well, number one, the community can decide how much of their money goes directly to roads. Versus. Because we are the biggest. Budget
In the county.
in the county.
Right.
And then also, the taxpayers can say, hey, we want better roads. They can say, let's put more
Put
money,
more money towards it, or
or
we don't care.
we don't care enough to. Then we get away, I know for that last House bill that went through for the property tax reduction took 3 counties into. That were already operating at 75% of their amount that they're supposed to get by state code with that Property Tax Reduction Act, pushed them down below, so then the state took away dollar for dollar that they got less than. Like Woodbury got into trouble. So not only did they lose, I don't know how much it was, but say they lost $10,000 coming from property taxes. So then the state goes in and says, here's road use tax fund, the road use money that they get, they take $10,000. So now Woodbury's secondary road department's down $20,000. Because they did not meet their minimum goals set by the county home rule. I think it's in that county home. I believe that's where it's written at.
I'll tell you the subject is
Yes.
eminent domain. That's on the governor's desk.
What she decides to do with that, it'll be. I don't know, nobody knows.
How long does she have to decide that?
14th, I think, isn't it?
Is
Yeah,
it?
14.
Yeah,
Well, it's coming shortly.
cause we sent it to her desk on. What was that, May?
21st.
No, was. When the house, what was the last day of session was the 9th, right? May 9th, so we sent it to her on the 9th, so she had 30 days.
So next Monday.
Mhm.
It's been signed by the Senate, it's been signed by the House, we sent it to the Senate, the Senate has signed it. And it's on the governor's desk. So we're all waiting to see.
Is there a desk with actually stacked documents for her to sign?
Just wanna know. Okay,
Or is it all
Yeah.
computer?
Yeah.
And she hand signs them.
okay. Any other questions for, I don't know if you came out ready for all the questions, but we do appreciate you stopping in and yeah, hope to keep the communication open, especially going into, like you said, next session, because we know the property tax isn't gonna go away.
Yeah, yeah,
But-
like I said, I do appreciate the email that you sent me and you guys would continue to do that and I'll.
We try to keep
working on
getting some numbers put together. So, okay. Is there anything else to come before the board this morning? Not, I would take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Ready? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? All right. Have a good day.